Hello and good afternoon. I've been wanting for some time to do a video about learning, and I said probably a year ago I had some ideas and models that I was going to present to the world, to the public, to people in general. And I have one basic one that I want to share with you today. And this learning technique is more visual than anything to start out, because that's the main thing that most people use is their visual cortex. So we're going to start with the vision. What I want to teach you is something very simple. It has to do with spatial relationships, like seeing things from distant points of your eyes, because a lot of us now, most of us don't look panoramically at things. Or when we read, we don't look panoramically. We kind of like isolate on certain points as we read. We read one word at a time. Okay, I know there's a lot of speed reading courses out there that teach some things like this, but what I'm going to teach you is somewhat different. I call it combination learning. What I'm doing is I'm using different facets of learning and combining them together and grouping it and slowly building over time, so you can build a foundation so that your mind can adapt and grow and strengthen. You'll be able to basically see more. I'll give you an example. People say, that I've heard, that in general nobody has a photographic memory, and this is not totally accurate or true. You remember every detail of everything, but you remember it in bits and pieces. Okay? What my objective here is to do is to teach you to how to take those bits and pieces together and chain them together over time so that you see one whole picture. Okay? That's the basic principle, and in theory it should ring true. Okay? So what I'm going to show you today is just basically all you need is a pencil, paper, pen and paper, or whatever. And it's going to be very, very simple. Okay? So I want you to do, if you can find a pen and paper, take time and pause if you need to. What I want you to do is get a pen and paper. I want you to draw a square about probably 6 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches, okay? And then in that square, okay, I don't know if you can see this or not. You probably can't. No, not really on this, but I have a square there, okay? I have a square there. Now, what I want you to do is simple. I'm sure that any third grader or second grader, even first grader, can spell the word cat. Okay. What I want you to do is put the letter C on the one side of the square inside. So you got a C. You can make it fairly big. You don't make it gigantic. And then put the A in the center of the square, and the T at the other end of the square. I'll show you here in a minute. And this is going to be very basic, but it's going to build as time goes on. Today I'm just giving you the bare bones, okay, of this project, of this program that I'm going to teach you. And this is free, by the way. Knowledge should be free. Wisdom should be free. It's a precious thing that everybody should be able to obtain and have. People try to make money off people, which in some ways is good, in some ways is bad, but I'm doing this for free. Okay. Here's the piece of paper. I don't know if you can see it, but I wrote the word C-A-T. Okay, now, what I want you to do, to look at that word cat. You notice there's spaces in between the C and A, and there's spaces between the A and T. Okay, now what I want you to do is look at the C and the T. And I want you to take your left eye and train it on the C, and take your right eye and train it on the T. Okay? And then after you train your eye on that, you should be able to see the A right directly in front of it. Your eyes are focused on the C and T, and you'll see the letter A. Now over time, you're going to be building a bigger square, okay, a larger square, and you're going to make the letters a little bit smaller. The whole object of this is to have your eyes be able to train from left to right at a further distance each time, so you get a more panoramic view. Okay, and when you do that, you'll still be able to see the center of the square where I told you you'll see the A. If you look at the C and you look at the T, your left eye trained on the C and your right eye trained on the T. And when you do this, you'll see the A. It is a very, very simple thing to do. You just look at it. Okay? And over time, I want you to make the box bigger and make the C just a little bit smaller, the A a little bit smaller, and the T a little bit smaller. But keep them in the same place over time. And then after you've done that for a period of time, I want you to learn to visualize. Some people say, well, I can't visualize. Over time, you will. I have a technique that I call mirroring. And what you do is, as you're looking at the letter, you visualize it at the same time. And over time, you'll be able to visualize much easier. All you're doing is looking at it for a moment and seeing it in your mind's eye. Some people have difficulty with this, but over time, you'll be able to do it more and more and more. Okay? Now, this is very basic. Like I said, it's the bare bones. Okay? I'm teaching this. Later on, I will teach you more. It is very simple. You say, well, how can this help me to reach my goals to have a stronger mind? Because it's a basic principle of how the mind works. As a child, you seen the world around you as a whole. You didn't see so much individual things, okay? You were taught later to identify individual things, but as a child, you've seen everything. And then there's times where you pick things up and observe them with all your senses. That's what a baby does. A baby is brilliant at birth. There is no negative thinking. It just perceives things as they are. That's why as we get older, we see things differently, because we're taught to perceive them in a specific way. What I'm teaching you here is I want you to learn how to use your mind once again, just as you used as a child. That's why I'm using basic box. I got to use these exterior things first before you can think internally. Externally first, because we've been taught in school and throughout time how to think externally and see things externally. Later, I want to teach you more about mirroring, where you're seeing things internally, and you're actually building an actual model of things around you in your mind. That's why I said you have a photographic mind. Now, here's another for instance on explaining how you have a photographic mind. When you look at a human person from a distance, what do you see? You see the body, right? But also, subconsciously, internally, you see every other part of the body. You can identify with every other part. You don't think about every other part, but you identify with it because you see it as a whole. You see the arms, the legs, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the neck, all of it, the whole frame. But you see the individual parts. That's the same way when I can use another example. When you look at a picture, right? You see the whole picture, don't you? But you can identify with each individual part. You can say that's that and that's that, right? But what I wanted to train you to do is see the whole picture and all the working parts as a whole. You know what I'm trying to say? Like when you see, like for instance, when you read a word, you visualize, you see the whole word, and internally you see it in your mind. You see the word and you perceive it as cat, dog, or whatever word it is. You don't have to look at each individual letter and try to identify what that word is. After time, you've learned how to look at a word and identify it immediately by its visual characteristics. Most people do this. Almost all people do this, in fact. What I want to teach you to do is to not only see one word at a time, but many words at a time, like a whole sentence at one snap. And this is not about speed reading. It's similar to it, but it's not about it. It's about learning to see the whole picture, to use your mind to do this with everything, not just one thing, but everything. And you'll learn that your mind has the capacity to go far beyond the reaches that you think consciously that you can do, because you can do a lot more with your mind. Your mind does it every day. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts floating through your mind every day, and it don't need no help to do it. It's an automatic process. You can do this consciously as well, and over time I will teach this. So basically, what I want you to do for today, just focus on looking at that word cat with your left eye, see the C. With your right eye, see the T. And when you look at those two letters, you'll automatically be trained to the center of the paper and see the A. So you're seeing it left, right, and center all at one time, just by focusing the left eye and the right eye on those two letters, and you'll see that middle letter because of that. So you're seeing a wider spectrum. And that's the whole purpose of this project, to teach you how to see things in a much larger spectrum, but in a natural way, without having to force or fight to see that much information at once. That's the key. Seeing more information at one time, but with simplicity, without difficulty, with ease. Okay, I'm gonna let this video go. I don't want this to last too long, but I'll get on to the next video and I'll expand upon this. Okay, I hope you got a little bit of this. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.